Sure. Usually, when I speak with folks who want to run the RPA, IA, or even AI implementations, one of the first things I ask them to focus is, where is your CEO strategy? And if your CEO strategy is towards growing certain products or certain markets which they have never been to before, I tell them that is your first priority. Don't focus on just getting FTEs out. Don't focus on just getting costs out. Those are the easy wins. Those are the low-hanging fruits. But if you really want to have a great impact, then you want to have more towards the revenue production side. So I have a great story to tell on that. This was a long time before I joined AIG. This was in 2016 or something. One of my clients wanted me to bring in a specific AI-based tool in order to help their salespeople. And I asked them, wait a minute, why do you want to get into tools? First, let's focus on the right problem to solve. So we decided to solve the problem with people, process, and technology as a combined issue. And the success in business terms was the marketing team, without adding an extra headcount, was able to have 840% throughput on that specific business unit for those products and 340% increase in sales. They blew out their numbers all along without having additional headcount in place, and they were just having leads after leads and a high conversion ratio, helping them grow their business in that specific small business unit. So that's a success story which I wanted to share. That would be a mastermind class for everyone who's interested in making sure they have frictionless scaling up of their IA initiatives. Usually what I've observed is a consultant walks in, advises the C-suite in order to get their automation initiatives going. And then people down below are left with some of the decisions which are made at the top, which may or may not involve the overall mindfulness. And my masterclass is going to walk through how do you align your overall automation initiatives with your corporate strategy. And on top of that, how do you measure and track it using technology business management principles? Technology business management is used by a lot of companies, 45% of Fortune 100 companies. Collectively, they have significant amount of spend, which they manage both on tech spend and automation spend. I bring in an expertise after discussing with experts from over 200 companies, collectively managing over $30 billion in tech spend and approximately close to $2 billion in specifically intelligent automation initiatives. And that would be a great class for anyone who wants to learn these principles. Warren Buffett made an excellent statement about how you should try to benefit by learning from others' mistakes. This class is that class for you. Sure, I'd like to take a stab at it with two aspects. So externally facing and internally facing. Externally facing, the nature of work has changed as follows. Business disruption is the new normal. If you look at the history of S&P 500, which is the index that tracks 500 most valuable US listed companies, you'll find that the longevity or the lifespan of each company has reduced from 62 years in 1950s to just above 20 years in this decade. This has all happened because of technological innovation, and intelligent automation is further going to create what I call as creative destruction. This creative destruction is going to change the way people compete with each other. Think about it for a moment. A century ago, or let's say 150 years ago, agriculture used to be 37.5% of US GDP. Today it is less than 1%. But we have highest amount of agricultural output, close to $1 trillion, close to $950 billion. What does that mean? Do we still use horse for farming? We don't. We use automated machines. This is going to reflect in most of our other industries as such. I've analyzed all the 1,000 industry sectors in S&P 500, and my conclusion and one of my projections is in the next decade or so, about half of them stand to be disrupted. Not necessarily that they're going to go out of business. They may be bought over because they may have something else valuable, or they may merge, or they may just be acquired. So what we are left with in external facing world is competition is going to intensify. What I know by talking to the 200 experts I told about is that each and every company is taking automation as table stakes. It is no longer going to be a bleeding edge differentiator. If you don't have it, you're out of business. Internally facing, I found some amazing initiatives in which employees are forcing their managements to bring in these kind of automation in place. For example, companies which do not give a decent enough employee engagement by providing the right tools are losing their top talent. There's significant amount of research around that. I'm not going to quote any specific research agency, but if your salespeople are not allowed, I just was yesterday at dinner with a salesperson. He moved from a really high growth startup, which matured and eventually got bought out, to another relatively similar company, only because he felt that the automation which was provided for his day-to-day work was provided better in the new place. So externally facing, we are facing this kind of disruption where competition is going to use automation in order to accelerate their service quality to the customer, as well as their ability to compete. Internally facing, employees are demanding automation and intelligent automation specifically as table stakes as well. Great. This relates back to our earlier question about the nature of work. So internally facing, yes, the employee morale is absolutely important, but morale has twofold implications. Many times companies and their employees are absolutely worried that automation is going to take my job away. And if you think about it for a moment, all this fear is being propagated because of certain number of reports that come out, or statements, irresponsible statements which were made by the likes of Elon Musk that half of the jobs will be gone, or McKinsey coming out with a report that 40% of the jobs will be gone. It's not necessary that 40% of aggregate jobs will be gone. And it's not that humanity has not seen this before. As I gave in the earlier example, in 1869, 37.5% of GDP was agriculture based. Today it's less than 1%. Did that mean that US went through a lot of turmoil, that agriculture became a small percentage of GDP? No. The nature of jobs that came up were very different. I can bet on this that in next 10 years, the nature of jobs which will be out there because of artificial intelligence and cognitive automation are not even defined or thought of right now. For instance, just like 10 years ago, no one thought that social media coordinator would be a job title for anyone. Similarly, we don't even know what kind of job titles are going to emerge. So that is something which companies have to be cognizant about. And they have to have a very systematic communication plan around managing the morale as they go through their automation journey. The other part which I would like to tap upon is there's a massive labor shortage. This labor shortage needs to be addressed by carrying out a certain mindset change amongst the folks who are carrying out all these initiatives. One, they should tap global talent. So if they're focused only, if you're a Silicon Valley based company, or if you're a New York based company, and if you're just trying to find local geography experts, it's going to be expensive for you. Try to spread out within US, or try to spread out within nearshore, within your longitudes in the world. If you are okay with going for, far shoring, you can go to other parts of the world and then try to tap this talent, which is very latent talent. Secondly, your existing set of folks can be very easily upskilled. The other day I was speaking with someone in McGraw-Hill, and they did an amazing job of reskilling their business analysts into machine learning and AI experts through use of just Udemy, as well as Coursera and few other ones. I personally found LinkedIn Learning Solutions to be amazing in terms of getting people some of these upskilling initiatives. Sure, I cannot speak on behalf of my employer, but I would certainly like to give you three main themes: intelligent, digital, and mesh. And I will speak more on the intelligent side because that's what our focus is here. I'd like to specify in that three things which absolutely excite me. The first one is autonomous things, autonomous drones, in fact, there's a concept called autonomous AI coming out too, which is something which I'm extremely excited about. If you search about driverless AI, there's this company called H2O.ai, which is quite popular. I hung out with their CEO and founder, Sri Satish, long time ago, maybe last month, and I found out some certain things which they are doing to democratize AI and automation. And that is something which I'm looking forward to every year. H2O.ai events keep getting bigger and they expand at a pace of almost doubling every year. So autonomous things would be the first theme. The second theme would be related to business analytics, and I call them as augmented analytics. So just like the example I gave you about marketing leads going up by 840% and conversion of sales going up by 340% in my win story from a couple of years ago, I would like to highlight that that is no longer going to be a skill of a privilege for you. With things like H2O.ai or other democratized AI, such as Google is coming out with democratized AI. I met Diane Green, who's their CEO, last month at a Google Cloud event where I was invited to in San Francisco. And democratized AI is their biggest theme. In fact, they have made it a mission for themselves. So that is going to bring augmented business analytics to a degree which has never been seen before. A common man, someone sitting in Kathmandu, would be able to write AI algorithms in code and have resources at their disposal to be able to tag out all the labels and images which they want to for their specific business use case. And use cases will come out which we have never thought of. The third thing would be the artificially intelligent development of code. So code development and testing is going through a massive rapid shift with new players in the market, and these three things are going to change the game forever for 2019. I want to also add to it the human side of it. There's going to be significant political turmoil, and AI is going to get a lot of political activity going on around it, and I want to change the dialogue on that from stopping to use, or rather quitting to abuse the word artificially intelligent, to using augmented intelligence. And those would be the four key things I'd be extremely excited about for 2019. So my background is I had an engineering undergrad, and I loved my engineering was specifically focused on computers and IT. And I love to make computer do things. That was my story right from age 13, that when I first saw that I could make computer do things, which was extremely exciting for me. Later on, I took a business side dimension to it by going to Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh. And I learned from some of the finest minds. They're one of the top schools for AI and analytics. And with all being equipped with all of that, I was able to generate certain business benefits for many companies. I've also used all of this knowledge towards nonprofit organizations, helping them scale bigger and higher. What makes me passionate about automation in general is that if you look at the history, once again, like the agricultural example I gave you, that 150 years ago it was different and today it is different, freeing up humans to do things that they would love to do so that they can be more productive at their job, so that they could accelerate things, so that they could focus more on creative aspects of it, is something that excites me the most. Automation is a field which is going to grow exponentially. That's another excitement. The third part is that because of that exponential growth, it attracts significant amount of talent and the energy that comes along with it. And that energy is going to keep everyone getting attracted to this field. So those are a few things that make me passionate about it. I also hack for fun. So there was this one story last year when I contributed to this nonprofit. They had this problem that they couldn't scale in terms of headcount because they had a limited budget. This was a nonprofit based out of New York. And I helped them by just creating a small piece of code using democratized AI nature principles. And I ended up applying that to help them achieve more with the same set of staff. Their staff was just stunned by it. They loved it. And they said, we wish we had more people who could give us these kind of aspects, because a monetary donation would have just gone slightly further for them, but this created an exponential effect for them. So in future, we are going to see more and more exponential organizations which will be coming out of these kind of innovations that would happen.